Hello and welcome to today's video. As part of my ongoing Cobra Conversion series, I've decided to cover a couple of the stories from the Action Force Redux webcomic series, which was created as a non-profit project by Jim Marshall from bloodforthebaron.com back in 2022. Action Force Redux issues 1 to 4 feature characters and events that tie directly into the Battle Action Force storyline World Enemy No.1, in which we would see the Baron Ironblood transform himself into Cobra Commander. So, for today's video I will cover the Red Jackal's World Enemy No.1 prologue story, and for all of you G.I. Joe fans out there, keep your eyes open for some familiar faces. I have already done Cobra Conversion videos for the Baron Ironblood and the Red Jackal, so if you want to know more about their part in World Enemy No.1, please check them out. And if you want to know more about Action Force Redux, please check out my All You Wanted to Know About Action Force Redux but Were Too Afraid to Ask video. World Enemy No.1 Prologue, the Red Jackal. In part 1 we join the Red Jackal deep in the Caucasus Mountains as he escorts a Red Shadow convoy that is smuggling black market weapons from Russia into Turkey. But the convoy is ambushed by his former comrades in the Russian army, and a bitter firefight ensues. Ultimately, the ambush fails, with the Red Jackal slaughtering them all in his hyena tank. Later, back at the Kremlin, in Moscow, a furious commissar dispatches the October Guard to hunt down and kill the traitor Anton Novikov. In part 2, the Red Jackal is on another smuggling run when the October Guard strike, attacking the convoy with bazooka and sniper fire. In the firefight, the Red Jackal's hyena tank takes heavy damage, and he is forced to abandon his men as the October Guard finish off the remaining shadows. The Red Jackal ends up hiding his damaged hyena tank in a nearby secluded cave before making his way to the border on foot. Later, as the Red Jackal makes his way through a dense forest, he realises that he's being hunted just moments before being hit by a bazooka shell from Horoshow. Wounded, the Red Jackal returns fire with his Rus rockets, killing Horoshow and Skraj before making his escape in the confusion. The October Guard count their losses and treat their wounds, before Colonel Brekov orders Diana and Stormovic to press on after the Red Jackal. In part 3, the Red Jackal continues to be hunted by the remaining October Guard, but he eventually overpowers them and kills them off one by one using only his bare hands. Then, using the last of his strength, he continues on towards the border. Exhausted and close to death, the Red Jackal eventually makes it back to his fortress in Turkey. The Red Shadows stationed there are relieved to see the Red Jackal has returned, as half of their commanders have gone missing. They report that the Black Major and Red Laser were lost at sea during Hurricane Yola in the attack on Atoll Z, and nobody has heard of the Baron in over a week. The Red Jackal then contacts Red Vulture, Red Wolf and Skeletron to see if they know the Baron's whereabouts, but they are none the wiser. And this is where the story for the Red Jackal in World Enemy No.1 begins. I have to say that I really enjoyed this story. I like the inclusion of the Russians and the fact they were after the Red Jackal, as this ties in nicely with his backstory, which was printed in Battle Action Force back in 1984. Also, seeing the October Guard make an appearance was an unexpected surprise, as I remember these guys from the G.I. Joe comics, and seeing them hunt down the Red Jackal was great fun. Although, I will say I was shocked to see what happened to them at the hands of the Red Jackal. It was a real Game of Thrones moment, and something I wasn't expecting. Something else I like, there were certain points of the story that would tie directly into other Battle Action Force stories, as well as the World Enemy No.1. Such as the moment when the Red Jackal hides his damaged hyena tank in a nearby cave. This ties in directly with the story World Enemy No.1, where the Red Jackal makes his escape from the combined forces of the UN and SAS force when they attack his fortress. Next is the moment when we see the Red Shadows stationed outside the Red Jackal's fortress. This fortress first appeared in the Battle Action Force story The Red Jackal, and it was built during the Ottoman Empire and was previously owned by the Red Shadow agent known as the Sultan, until his demise at the hands of Action Force. And since then, the Red Jackal had made it his base of operations. Next, we have the moment where we see the Red Jackal being treated for his wounds. The Red Shadows report to the Red Jackal that half of the commanders are missing, and that the Black Major and Red Laser are both presumed dead, lost at sea during the assault on Atoll Z during Hurricane Yola. This ties in nicely with the Battle Action Force story Assault on Atoll Z, which was ran between December 1984 and January 1985. You had the Black Major and the Red Laser lead a Red Shadow invasion of a Pacific island that was defended by Z-Force. They also mention that nobody has heard from the Baron in over a week. This ties into the beginning of World Enemy No.1, where we see the Baron set in motion his plans to end the Red Shadows and start a new terrorist organisation called Cobra. One last thing, I really like seeing the robot Skeletron in the story. Skeletron was a mail-away figure from Palatoy, and he didn't make any appearances in the Battle Action Force stories as far as I remember. However, Jim has included him in his recent Action Force Redux web series of comics, as Supreme Commander of the Red Shadow Space Fleet. Also, any guesses who or what is administering aid to the Jackal in this picture? Please leave any comments below if you think you know who it could be. Well, I think that Jim has managed to capture the look and the feel of the original Action Force stories here. To me, it is Action Force. I really like the drawing and the artwork on this strip. It was really good quality, and dare I say better than some of the comics available today from what I've seen. The artwork and cover B were done by Alejandro Cabral, cover A by Patrick Goddard, and the lettering was done by Rodolfo Valenzuela, and the story, of course, by Jim Marshall. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's video. I think it fits in nicely with my other Cobra Conversion videos, and thanks as always to Jim Marshall for all the information and images. As always, thank you for watching, and if you could please like the video, I'd be very grateful. Till next time, stay safe, and blood for the Baron!